Good afternoon, and welcome to the landmark dedication and unveiling ceremony honoring military working dog teams. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jason Harris, Commander, 341st Training Squadron, home to the Department of Defense's Military Working Dog Training Center here at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland. It is my honor to serve as your narrator for today's ceremony. The hosts for today's ceremony are the commanders of the 502nd Air Base Wing in Joint Base San Antonio and 37th Training Wing, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland. Our first speaker was scheduled to be the congressional sponsor of the Military Working Dog Team's National Monument and member of the United States House Armed Services Committee, United States Representative from North Carolina, the Honorable Walter Jones. Unfortunately, the Congressman could not join us today and sends his regrets. He has asked that General Holmes speak in his stead.
I'm pleased to represent Congressman Walter Jones. He has been my congressman. I served at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in North Carolina, and he represented our base, and I can tell you that he cares deeply for both military people and, as you can see from his sponsorship here, military working dogs. But today we take another step toward addressing that as well, and we dedicate this memorial to military working dogs and their human partners of all services and all eras, and this day is about them and not us. This is a fitting memorial in a fitting place, and I'm proud to be here to help dedicate it. Walk softly among these stones, for here lie heroes. They carried no rifle, nor wore a uniform, but always followed orders. They went into battle with trust and love of duty. Who amongst us can say we were better? Walk softly, for here lie soldiers. So today, walk softly, for here we remember heroic soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen. Who amongst us can say we were better?
The next gentleman has spent the last 9 years making this monument come to fruition. He is a retired U.S. Army Master Sergeant and Vietnam veteran German Shepherd Scout dog handler. Author of the books A Soldier's Best Friend and Dog Tags of Courage, he has done numerous TV appearances and is currently a senior writer-editor for Barton Associates Incorporated. Founder and president of the John Burnham Monument Foundation, none other than Mr. John Burnham.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for coming to this special day. It's an historical day because today we're going to dedicate and unveil this national monument for our nation's military working dogs of World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, going on into the Gulf War, the war in Iraq, and the continuing war in Afghanistan. The National Monument process officially started when I first met Walter Jones, Congressman Jones, in his office on Capitol Hill in December of 2005. I had briefed him on why this country needed a national monument for these animals, and these dog handlers have been fighting all these wars. And I wanted it signed into law by the President of the United States. Congressman Jones agreed at the time to sponsor the legislation, and he invited me to help him through the congressional process. And over the course of 8 years, I have given testimony before congressional subcommittee hearings, many government legislator hearings, and the Pentagon officials, pleading for their stamp of approval. Most had no idea that dogs had been saving countless thousands of lives, American lives, and even civilian lives, and trillions of dollars in war implements, such as aircraft, munition storage facilities, ammunition dumps, supply depots, shipyards, missile sites, communication sites, and securing many of our base camps and bases all around the world. And the list just keeps going on from World War II to present. And I informed them that these dogs were not military mascots or equipment. They were soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen. And they had important life-saving jobs like scouts, sentry, trackers, search and rescue, messengers, explosive detection, drug detection, and many other difficult tasks. I remember a reporter asking me once along the way of this long process, Mr. Burnham, what if Congress does not approve the legislation? What then? Well, I thought about that question for a few seconds, And then I replied, I guess I'll have to have the Million Dog March on Washington, D.C. Well, that Million Dog March never materialized because the U.S. House and Senate passed the legislation signed by President George W. Bush into law on January 28, 2008. But on October 28, 2009, President Barack Obama amended that law submitted by Congressman Jones that authorized the John Burnham Monument Foundation to design it, to fund it, to build it, and to maintain it. From that point on, it was official, and I was honored to take on the biggest responsibility of my life, to lead the effort. So I volunteered my time and my management skills and technical skills to do the best job that I could, representing the thousands of dog handlers and dogs that came before me and are here today since World War II. It was a very daunting task, but failure, it was not an option. My war experience started in March of 1967. I had just recovered from a serious injury on the battlefield of South Vietnam in the Central Highlands, serving with the 7th Cavalry Division. And after my recovery, I volunteered to return to Vietnam to join another infantry elite unit. When I got there, I didn't get the assignment that I wanted, so I volunteered to be a German Shepherd Scout Dog handler with the 44th Scout Dog Platoon operating near the Cambodian border. My on-the-job training in base camp taught me the basics of how to lead infantry patrols into enemy territory from behind the leash of a German Shepherd Scout dog named Timber, my first dog. Well, Timber and I were going on our first mission. We loaded up in an armored personnel carrier. We headed off into the deep jungle, 4 armored carriers. I was in the lead carrier with my dog. We got ambushed in an L-shaped ambush that destroyed 3 carriers, wounded my dog, wounded me. I got out of the battle. I was okay. Timber was not. It wasn't his wounds that he couldn't heal from. It was his mental condition. He couldn't take the war anymore. So we didn't put him down. We put him in his run. We took care of him, fed him, walked him, took care of him. So I had to get another dog because I was okay. So I found this dog in the kennel. He didn't have a handler, and the name was Clipper. And my life and the lives of the soldiers depending on Clipper and I, as we trained in base camp and got familiar with one another, greatly depended on how quickly and effectively I was able to read Clipper's body language of alerts of danger before danger found us. When we worked together, Clipper was really the one in charge. He was the leader. He was the point man. He was the hunter. I was his master, his follower, his interpreter, and of course I was his pack mule. We hunted the enemy in the bug and snake-infested jungles, and in the heat and the pouring rain, we climbed mountainous terrain, sloshed through rice paddies and crossed rivers and streams in daylight and under the cover of darkness. I cleaned off the leeches and the ticks and other tropical bugs Clipper couldn't reach. And Clipper, well, he really liked that a lot. And at night in the pouring monsoon rain, I'd cover up in my poncho trying to stay dry, only to wake up shivering. Clipper had the poncho pulled up over him. We rarely worked with the same patrol twice. Many of the patrols we supported never witnessed a scout dog team in action. They were clueless about our capabilities and limitations. They were also skeptical about Clipper's capability to save their lives better than they can do it for themselves with their own weapons and equipment and combat experience. Blind faith was not in the infantryman's vocabulary. So Clipper and I were on our own, as usual, and we had to prove ourselves each time we joined a different combat patrol. So I had to remain confident in my ability as an infantryman and Clipper's ability as a scout. Although survival was always my ultimate goal, I'll have to admit that I had experienced the pucker factor more than once. Walking point behind a dog in those scary, deep, dark jungles far away from base camp made my skin crawl and my eyes dart all over the place, but I knew I had to concentrate on my dog. I tried not to think about getting shot or killed or blown up, but in the back of my mind, I knew we were being hunted as well. We could easily get snuffed out by a bounty hunter or a sniper or miss a booby trap. But when Clipper alerted on those booby traps in the rubber trees, or when his ears popped up and he stood rigid in his tracks, refusing to go any further across that clearing, knowing that there was danger on the other side, or when he sniffed out that hidden enemy base camp, or that camouflaged underground tunnel entrance only a dog could find, or when he heard and smelled that ambush way before our patrol walked into that kill zone, well then, and only then, did we prove ourselves and earn the confidence and the respect of those infantrymen we were there to scout for. Our training and mission preparation had paid off, and lives were saved, including mine and my dog's. And because of that, the disbelievers became immediate believers in my dog and in me. And the infantryman wanted to pet Clipper and shake his paw and offer him food and water, or offer him that one last home-baked stale cookie they'd been saving for themselves. Clipper got used to the sounds of battle at close range and the small smell of gunpowder and blood and even death. But he soldiered on just like the rest of us. Clipper had feelings too, especially when his best friend Shadow was killed in a mortar attack while he was in his kennel in base camp. Clipper would often walk into Shadow's empty run and sniff that dried blood stain on the concrete floor, and he would linger there. You see, I had gained a profound respect and admiration for Clipper because I had crossed over into his four-legged view of the world. As a result, Clipper taught me how to communicate with him and to trust his judgment in the most extreme of combat situations. When I learned to accept Clipper's level of intelligence and his natural instincts for protection and survival, I had entered into an animal and human bonding relationship that I've never felt before or since. And no matter how difficult it was for me to say goodbye to Clipper, the time had come for me to do that, to give him his one big last bear hug, just like every Vietnam dog handler had to do before me and after me. Clipper stood there on all fours with his head high like the champion he was, and he watched me walk away, not knowing that it would be the last time he'd ever see me. I left Vietnam in 1968 with the bitter and sad truth that Vietnam would be Clipper's final resting place. But he will always live inside me. And he was a big part of my motivation to get this project completed. There are thousands more heroic dog stories from dog handlers saving American lives from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, Iraq, and everything in between. And I've always believed that a worse thing than dying, a dog dying, and a handler dying on the battlefield is being forgotten. And that includes all those dogs and handlers that were wounded on the field of battle, but found the courage and the strength to survive and to carry on with their lives. So at this time, will every veteran and active duty dog handler stand up and be recognized? So in honoring the dogs and the dog handlers with this national monument, we're also honoring the countless thousands of lives they have been saving since World War II. And there's no way we can put a number on all those children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren that are here today because America gave her sons and daughters a dog to save lives in time of war. So a slice of the credit for our nation's freedom belongs to the war dog on the battlefield, serving alongside his master. Together, they have always strived valiantly as a team to bravely defend their ground because they knew the ultimate goal was saving an American life. When death befalls his master on the battlefield, there you will find his dog, his eyes sad but vigilant, protecting his master until the very end. I will close with this quote from Will Rogers. "If there are no dogs in heaven, then when I die, I want to go where they went." Thank you.
Next to the stage, Brigadier General Poppy.
Today we salute an invaluable asset and force multiplier, the military working dog and handler. This pair has been supporting military operations since World War II with staggering success. Their loyalty, intelligence, drive, and ability to inflict fear in an aggressor in a way that no other asset can make them invaluable to our fighting force. Military working dogs and their handlers have proven themselves time and time again. We have asked a lot of them, and they have given more. A dog doesn't complain. A dog doesn't make excuses. A dog just wants to please. They will selflessly give all of themselves just for a pat on the head or a few seconds of play. They will not quit until the mission is accomplished. A quote that sums it up nicely is, "He is your friend, your partner, your defender, your dog. You are his life, his love, his leader. He will be yours, faithful and true to the last beat of his heart. You owe it to him to be worthy of such devotion."
We now invite a United States Air Force military working dog handler and wounded warrior, Technical Sergeant Anderson.
The working dogs nowadays are and they're so huge in the mission, both stateside or overseas, peacetime and wartime. You know, when things are going bad, when things have really gone bad, and you know you're sitting around and trying to figure out what's next, what's going to happen, homesick, ready to get home, ready to get out of here. It's the ability of that dog to come up to you and look at you, whether you're a handler, whether you're a soldier. Come up, look at you with the eyes, allow you to pet them. You know, when you pet them and they just kind of tell you, during all this chaos, hey, it's going to be all right. It's confide in me. I don't need to, they're not going to talk back to you, but they can give you a little taste of home. As if the dog's telling you, don't worry, I'll take point and lead us home. Put your life in my hands, I'll put my life in yours. They truly are the unsung heroes to so many handlers, other service members. And I'm so happy they're getting the respect they deserve now, from past and present.
Next, the sculptor, Miss Slater.
All of us who have been involved with this project have felt the weight of it. We've wanted to get it right. We've wanted to bring our highest angels and our greatest talents to this monument. We all know what it means, what it stands for. This is a national monument. It is for everyone in this nation. It is for the public and the world, and we didn't want to let anyone down. To the side of the national monument is another bronze sculpture featured in its own little courtyard. It is the Not Forgotten Fountain. John Burnham had the uniquely creative idea to have a Vietnam War handler sitting cross-legged, pouring water from his canteen into his helmet, which is the way that handlers offered water to their military dogs during the Vietnam War.
We will now hear from the sponsors of the Monument Project. Without the following people signing big checks and providing the support to the Monument Foundation, this project would not have been possible. First up is Mr. Duffield.
I first ran across John Burnham in the USA Today. Nice article about his mission and the people he'd like to honor, both all military as well as their companion animals. I then was pointed to the Animal Planet, listened and looked at that, read John's book, and then I said to myself, Maddie's Fund ought to have this fella out and talk to us about his goal and see if there's a synergy here that we could help. I honored my commitment and pledged $300 million to Maddie's fund. You know, with a couple of goals. One was to eliminate euthanasia of healthy adoptable pets by the year 2015. The second broader goal was to revolutionize the status and well-being of companion animals. And I can't think of a better definition of revolutionizing the well-being and the status of companion animals than John Burnham. John, thank you for all your initiatives. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be among the military and your close friends and board members. Thank you very much.
It is a privilege to be with you at Lackland today representing Petco and the Petco Foundation as we honor our soldiers and military working dog teams and their years of courageous sacrifice for our country and with this wonderful monument.
So it's an honor for me to be here today to represent Natural Balance. We were very committed from the first time we heard the story. And folks like Jimmy Van Patten, who's here in the audience, he and his dad got together to help raise awareness. And we reached out to Petco store associates all across the country, 35,000 part-time and full-time employees across the country said, I too want to help raise money for this project. Right here in the great state of Texas, working dogs were an integral part of this settlement.
Next is the author of Sergeant Rex, The Unbreakable Bond Between a Marine and His Military Working Dog, Mike Dowling.
This monument being dedicated today is a collective sign of enormous respect and honor dog handlers have for their dogs. It's also a monument for all war dog teams to have their stories and legacy live on, especially those who never made it home and for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, like my very good friend, Sergeant Adam Can.
Now we will hear from the President of the United States War Dogs Association, Mr. Ron Aiello.
We are here to celebrate the dedication of the U.S. Military Working National Monument. But I would also like to celebrate the hard work and focus on a fellow scout dog handler from Vietnam and his loyalty, respect, and love of all dogs and their handlers over the years. When John Burnham was an Army Scout dog handler in Vietnam, earning the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, and Purple Heart, he understood that to get to the objective, it would not always be easy, and the enemy, if you could tell who they were never going to fight fair. I don't think that John would think that when he got home, the big objective in his life was often going to be harder, and the enemy, if he knew who they were going to fight fair either. It would not be a war of conventional weapons, but rather politicians, lawyers, egos. The United States War Dogs Association was fortunate enough to dedicate the first state war dog memorial in New Jersey in 2006. But we didn't face the many challenges that John did. John started his mission for a national monument actually back in 2001. After running into walls, broken promises, conflicting opinions, and John wouldn't tell you any of this, and a few other roadblocks. In 2007, Walter Jones, Republican from North Carolina, introduced a bill authorizing the establishment of the National Monument. It was passed and signed in 2008 by George W. Bush, and in 2009, President Barack Obama amended public law to authorize the John Burnham Monument Foundation to manage, fund, and build the national monument. Now, if John could just find a few $1,000,000, the mission was almost done. After a multitude of fundraising pitches, he was once again rescued by a dog. While making a pitch on a reality TV show, Who Let the Dogs Out, featuring Tillman, the surfboarding, skateboarding bulldog, he met Joey Herrick, the president of Natural Balance Pet Food. Herrick was impressed and said, "Don't do a thing, Natural Balance and Petco will take care of it." With the pledge of $1 million and further fundraising by Natural Balance, Petco, and Maddie's Fund, today, First National Monument to our service dogs and handlers is a reality. I'm sure through his last campaign, John would have loved to have his old war dog Clipper with him. I also know that after all his efforts, caring, and patience, John will someday find himself in heaven. As Billy Graham commented on the heaven he envisioned, he said, "I think that God will have prepared everything for our perfect happiness. If it takes my dog being there, I believe he'll be there." Well, John, I believe Clipper will be there for you. And I want a special thanks to go out to the handlers and dogs that are here today and the ones that cannot be here today, who have served and saved lives over the years, only asking for our respect and caring.
The John Burnham Monument Foundation Board of Directors, Mr. Larry Chilcote, Ms. Christy Dober, and Mr. Jim Frost would now like to present a memento to the 341st Training Squadron.
I'm a Vietnam veteran Air Force sentry dog handler. And for me, this is a one last mission. When I returned, I couldn't get Geisha A871 out of my head and out of my heart. I knew I had to do something to recognize her and the rest of these canine warriors.
To me, the monument represents every untold story. All the stories that haven't been told, all the stories that are held in people's hearts from handlers past, present, all those in the future, and all of those of our fallen. When I look at that monument, I am proud to know that I was a part of that. And I hope that the monument gives a voice to those handlers, past, present, future, and those friends and family of the fallen, that allows them to tell their story to educate the American people about what a great contribution military working dogs make.
Just to finish up, I want to thank John, I want to thank Larry, Krista, and Richard for allowing me to be a part of this process. It's been an unforgettable experience. I've worked with John for several years now, and I got to tell you, you Vietnam guys back there, your dog's home. Your dog's back here today. He's at your side right now. He's going to live forever in that monument.
Now, here to accept the Military Working Dog Team's National Monument on behalf of the men and women of the United States Air Force, the Commander, 502nd Air Base Wing and Joint Base San Antonio, Brigadier General LaBruta.
On behalf of the 502nd Air Base Wing, Joint Base San Antonio, as the Commander, I accept this gift on behalf of Joint Base San Antonio Lackland and the incredible military members and the working dogs who have provided the critical combat support capability that these teams have since World War II.